Thank you, Victoria and Chris. My heart is open. It's yours. I was, I just want to share what was coming to me in the meditation. Um, the unity families, all the churches that are meditating at the same time. And I've been so blessed to be part of the new board of unity and seeing from a higher level what it's really opening up for this movement. And because of my bilingualism and the fact that I have a virtual ministry allows me to be present to so many other churches. And I was just connecting with people in the Dominican Republic that I got to visit this year, and in Puerto Rico. And last week I was in Houston, Unity of Houston. And it's interesting because I'm sharing sacred space with Unity people in different locations. And it's like, I was here during your sabbatical, and it's like there's been so deep connection that we have experienced. And coming back here is like, okay, we're back together. So thank you for the opportunity of sharing sacred space and growing together on the spiritual journey and seeing unity as the vehicle of our transformation and our awakening, especially during these times. So I just wanted to share that and say that, just mention something that we are working on in our virtual bilingual Unity Community of Light ministry. And we do a lot of series. That's how we do our teachings, by bringing series that can really support people in their process of educating themselves spiritually. And right now we are running with a series on prayer. And I would like to just briefly share where the inspiration for that series came about, to connect to the idea that I am moved or inspired to share with all of you this morning. And this has to do how the 7-step process prayer we have called reimagining prayer. It was inspired by a experience that I had probably like 4 years ago. I had a friend, very close friend, who had been in 35-year marriage, happily married to a guy who, I know you're going to start looking at that, but we'll get there. It's okay. That's okay. I mean, it's all good. Uh, and she, during the pandemic, her husband, who had been known to be the most social, most positive people person, happy most of the time, went into a major depression, to the point where, after having some procedure done that shouldn't have been anything complicated, he really did not do well after that procedure, and with the whole COVID thing, went into a depression to the point that he had to be in a psychiatric hospital, in and out. And my friend was really desperate, because it's like the psychiatrists were not really giving her much hope. She was really like in the space where I lost my husband. And she's a believer, but not necessarily somebody on the unity path, but of course believes in God. And she called me up one day and she said, I know you're going to be able to help me. Can you please tell me exactly what I need to do to bring my husband out of this? It's like, no pressure. And I'm like, okay, wow, so many teachings and tools that Unity offers. How can I make it into one prescription, right? So I decided on going, and she lives in Miami, and paying her a visit. And right before I was leaving for the airport, I opened a drawer and I saw this 7-bead rosary, and I grabbed it, went to the airport, got on the plane, and essentially meditated most of the flight, and these 7 steps were like a download. So when I finally made it there, I said, I got it. I got your prescription, right? So this talk is not about that. However, it will introduce my idea for today. Now you can bring it on. Um, this is the 7-step prescription that I gave her. I just want you to, maybe one day I come and do the workshop and do the talk, but if you notice, the first 3 have to do with getting quiet, breathing, coming to the heart space, almost like balancing, because I realized I can't get her to do affirmations in that nervousness that she had. So I really need to get her down to a more neutral space. And then the next phase was like, okay, now we need to create the conditions in consciousness. And the very first step, which is the 4th one, was to really, for her to accept, this is what it is. I'm not gonna feel guilt. I'm not gonna feel fear. Be in the non-resistance of what was happening, to then get into affirmations. And then the 6th step, which is the one we're gonna talk about today, it's like after you do all of that, you're gonna let it go. You're gonna not get attached to anything, surrender. And like I say here, I place in God's hand. You can do the next slide. Detaching from the outcome and trusting fully God is in charge. And then, of course, to land in gratefulness, in not necessarily for being polite, God, and thank you, God, but it's like staying in that space of expectancy that that everything is in divine order and will unfold as it's supposed to be, and that you stay in gratitude for that. But the point 6 is what I really want to concentrate on today. That surrender part, which is really key to the highest unfoldment within the situation. And for that, I have a story, a good one. And this was my talk last Sunday's Mother's Day talk. It has to do with my motherhood aspect. And I said, it will be a week later in Chapel Hill, but, it will still be relevant. So as you know, I have 3 kids and 2 pregnancies, because the second pregnancy were twins. And in my first pregnancy, I had the wonderful blessing to give birth out of a hospital and do it the way our ancestors would do, with a nurse midwife in a birth center in Florida. And that experience for me was like a spiritual breakthrough. And the lady, the midwife who took care of me, was a unity person. And it was an amazing thing. So in my world, in my psyche, my next pregnancy is gonna be this way, no other way. Then when I get pregnant with twins, they said, no, it's not gonna happen. That's considered a high-risk pregnancy, so you have to go to a hospital. And I'm like, oh my God, a hospital in Puerto Rico where I was living at the time. I knew this was a fact, that the #1 country in the world for C-sections was Puerto Rico. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to a hospital in Puerto Rico, and they do C-sections as a joke. Imagine a pregnant woman with twins. That's gonna be for sure a C-section. And I really, in my heart, I wanted it to be just as my first birth experience, where it was really a spiritual breakthrough, giving life in that way, and more subtle and more present. So I learned about this doctor in the island that did water birth in a hospital. So I'm like, okay, that's my guy. So I went, and he says, yeah, I'm willing to work with you. I said, I don't want epidurals. I don't want even Pitocin. He says, okay, you do your birth plan, and and, I'm with you. We'll do it. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you. So I asked the doctor, and where do you do deliveries? And he said, X hospital. I'm not going to mention, but a hospital in the island that years prior, my grandmother had passed away out of a malpractice. And we had really become like, we were members of the hospital, and we said we're not ever going to step on that hospital ever again. And each time I would drive by, I would go like, and then the perfect doctor was in that hospital, so I said, oh my God, I have to change all the programming now. So this is back 2002, and I had a friend who, it was not the digital days where you would record in your phone or anything like that. So I went to his recording studio, and I created a meditation of my perfect birth experience. And it was the visualization that this is the best hospital in the world. And the nurses are so friendly and so efficient and so loving. And I recreated that, and I visualized myself giving birth, vaginally, naturally. And I did that for 6 months. Every single night, I was visualizing that and changing my thinking and believing about the hospital and what twin birth could be. 7 months into my pregnancy, I had to go regularly and get a sonogram. And I have boy and girl. The boy, baby A, was breech, started just staying breech. And doctor didn't say anything, but as I kept going back, he's like, if this baby doesn't flip, you know what the situation will be. It will be a C-section. And I'm going, okay, no, I'm sure he's going to flip. Because I was so, into my recording and all of that. So I heard about chiropractors flip babies. So I went to the chiropractor. No. Acupuncturists, they really can flip babies. So went to the acupuncturist, nothing. Maybe if you do a flashlight there, they know the exit. Nothing. Music, nothing. So I'm like, I made it to probably like the 38th week, and Luke, the baby A, is breech, no movement. And went to the doctor, and he did that, and he says, okay, Anna, done. This is going to be a C-section. Go ahead and change that birth plan. And he's talking to me, and I'm going, heck no. I go home, sit in my living room. I was huge. And I get a phone call from a friend, and what was going on with me was like, you're obsessed. This is an obsession. What is wrong about getting a C-section? It's about the safety of the babies. So I'm like, okay, it's about the safety. I'm obsessed. But then I've been doing this for 6 months, and I really believe that this is the way these babies have to come to the world. Get a phone call, and actually, this is when you might want to show the next slide. And my friend, there's a picture of my babies, past and present. This minister friend of mine calls me up, hi, Anna, how are you? And I go, not well. What's going on? And I said, I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. I accept it. I've been doing this prayer work for 6 months in a row, and they're not flipping, and probably they have to do C-section. And she goes, and I go, and I said, didn't Jesus say, this is where I told her, ask and it will be given to you, seek and you will find, knock and the door will be open to you. Well, that's not true. That's not true because I have done all of that and it's not working. And she tells me magic words to this day. She said, I get it. It's, she said, it's really not about detaching from the desire, but really detaching from your attachment to outcome. And when she said that, I saw the light because I said, okay, that what was bothering me. I really, in my heart, I had the desire for my babies to be born naturally, but then I was attached for the only way of happening was that way. So when I released that, I said, okay, I'm going to hold on to my desire, but make it okay whether they're born one way or the other. Within a couple of days, one night, I felt something going on there, like a big something, not a contraction. It felt, I don't know, but it was a weird sensation. And I go to next doctor's appointment. The doctor does the sonogram. He looks at me, tearing up, and he says, they're both head down. And this is going to be a quick and easy birth experience. And I went, what? So to finish up the story and start connecting, it's amazing how then as I did that, oh, an important thing I have forgotten. When my friend told me that, I wrote a letter to both babies, especially to my son, and I said, Luke, I want to ask for your forgiveness because I have put a lot of pressure on you to be born this way, and I want you to know that it's okay, whichever way you want to be born, it's okay with me. But let me tell you why. It will be amazing if you go through the canal. And this is where it all happened. And, it was midnight. I broke water. We get to the hospital. The elevator is not working, and I had to go 4 stairs with a big belly, which I know is divine order because it really, when I got there, and they were born at 7:20, 7:28, completely healthy, 7-pound babies, like cold turkey, like that. Yeah, and the nurses were like, I had imagined it was Christmas period, so they were wearing Santa hats. And I was like, wow, my doula looked at me and said, hey, you're a cosmic woman. So I hope that by this time you are really getting the message, right? So many times we talk about surrendering, letting it go, but we really, if our desires are coming from the heart space, not all the time our desires are heart-centered, right? When it comes from the ego. But when they come from the heart and spirit, inside of them, of that desire, is exactly the power for its manifestation and realization. However, if we limit ourselves by going, this is my desire and it has to be this way at this time, we are going to really block it because we're not allowing spirit to organize it in the best way. And by us saying, I detach from the outcome, we're allowing spirit to say, okay, now that I don't have any limits from your mind and consciousness, I can co-create all, let's say, all the circumstances for that to come about. So that's why I call this talk The Power of Surrender, and how it always, when we are able to detach from outcome, it will always be the highest good manifesting. One of the things we need to be aware of that in the process of that manifestation, we might get some detours. And we have to stay centered and connected and trusting that detours are part of the process. Not that spirit is saying, no way, but it's like, there might be something else happening here. And I have a story. This is two men that are flying a small aircraft. And they're realizing that there's something wrong with the airplane. And they are guided to make an emergency landing at the nearest land they were at that happened to be a desert. And they land their plane and safely, and they realize, oh my God, we're in the middle of a desert. There's no one here, nothing here. We better start walking for help. So they started walking, hoping they wouldn't see anything. And it got to be the night, and they said, well, we'll walk some more, but let's rest, and hopefully tomorrow we'll keep walking. They're already really thirsty, hungry, getting weaker by the minute. And next morning they get up and they continue on their journey, hoping for help, especially water. And after 2-3 more hours of walk, they started looking to the distance, and they see like some person, but they go, is this a mirage? Is this for real? And ultimately they realize, oh no, it's a human being. Hopefully he'll have water. He'll help us out. And when they notice that there's this man that gets to where they're at, and they said, would you like to buy a Thai? And they go, what are you talking about? We are thirsty, don't you see? We have been walking all night for over 24 hours. Heck, no. But they kept on walking. And finally, they again saw like what seemed to be a diner, and a mirage. Is it for real? No, yeah, it was a real diner. And when they approached the diner, and at the door it says, ties are required. You get it? If we are connected and we're trustworthy that there's divine order in everything, and we flow with that, we go, okay, sure. How much is it? Because for some reason, that is there. So in the process of manifestation, being in peace with the detours, it's really key. So almost like as a recap, I would like to bring what I call my own power formula. The power of surrender process: open and nourish the desire of my soul after discernment that it's in alignment with spirit. And sometimes we have that clarity, and sometimes we don't, right? We go, oh, this is spirit, but it's really ego. But when we stay open to to whatever the highest is, if it's not in alignment with your heart or your highest good, don't worry. God will not bring it to you, and that's the quality control. Make peace with uncertainty, the time and the way it manifests. I realized many times in my life that God always exceeds my expectations the more surrendered that I am. And that I go, this is the perfect time and the perfect way, and I know it. And then when I look back, I go like, no, oh my God, thank you, God, you didn't pay attention to me. And number 3, detach from outcome, especially through detours. And then celebrate the manifestation or lack of. I celebrated, oh my God, in 2 days I was home and healthy babies, regular me. And that was good. It was like let's say, an accomplishment, a success, a dream realized. But it was really that awareness, what I learned in that birth experience about really, really detaching from outcome. That's what really, think about it, after 6 months of every night listening to this meditation It's like, I'm doing the prayer work. But it was not until I let go that the highest good unfolded. In the times where it does not get manifested, celebrate it too. I had a phone call this week from some lady in Texas that I know of. She wants to be a unity minister. And she leaves me a long audio message. And she says, I went to this interview and they said that no, that I'm not, I don't, no, she didn't say it like that, but essentially, I'm not minister material. And they suggested that I just do a licensed unity teacher. And you could feel her sadness and let down, and like, maybe I should revise the way you, she was giving me the whole exposition of why it was wrong. And then she said, and I was in, she's in Texas, so I did see about your surrender talk, so maybe that is, she left me all of that. And I called her back, left another message, and I said, do you know that, because I know she somewhat looks up to you, to me, she said, I said, do you know that I was a licensed unity teacher first, many years before I became a minister? There's nothing wrong with that. You have to flow with it and trust it and allow it based on what I'm saying today, right? Maybe you go like, this is the way it needs to be. I need to be a minister. I know I have a calling. But you don't know, maybe through the deeper teachings as learning the unity principles deeper as a teacher might be the difference. It might take more time for her to mature spiritual to do the work that she's meant to do, right? So to recap, well, I've been recapping this whole time, but I have. I wrote here, whether these things manifest or not, through surrender, we begin to see that it is not only about whether they happen, but about what we learn through the process. I had my natural birth, great, I did it, but the extraordinary lesson I received was hold the desire and let go of the attachment to outcome. For spirit always knows better, and when we surrender, we gain and receive the very best the experience has to offer. And I want you to repeat that with me. So let's inhale right now. Exhale. And before we do the affirmation, try to listen to your heart and see what is coming. What is it that maybe is being realized at this moment, or there's a seed that has been planted? Maybe there has been a desire in your heart that you have abandoned or given up in. Because maybe you were too attached to the way and the time it has to happen. But being in the heart, knowing that desires, when our heart center or come from spirit, have power of manifestation, but it takes a surrendered approach. Trusting the higher power, higher presence, got it. And then step up your faith there. Go internally connecting with the idea of God as your partner. Always, always, always leading you to your highest and best. Watching out for you. Leading you. Loving you. And see how that feels. Wow. building our faith on that. And then repeat with me, Spirit always knows better, or best. Is best or better? Best, okay. Spirit always knows best.
Spirit always knows best.
And when I surrender, I gain and receive the very best the experience has to offer me. And so it is. Amen. Thank you.
Hi. If this video has inspired you, opened your heart, expanded your consciousness, filled you with hope, empowered you in some way, we encourage you to support what we offer here at Unity Center of Peace by making your donation now. And thank you.